A Pine County nonprofit born out of heartbreak is now being recognized for helping families through unimaginable loss.
Weeping Willa was founded by a Willow River area couple who lost a baby and then turned their grief into support for other parents facing similar pain.
Northern News Now's Kyrie Johnson spoke with them today about the now nationwide impact of their passion. Kyrie?
Yeah, Laura and Dan, in less than 2 years, the Northland-based nonprofit has helped families in more than 23 states. Their work includes financial grants for grieving families, grief resources, and building stronger mental health connections, so families don't have to go through child loss alone. When Cassie and Trevor Fusney learned they were expecting their daughter Willa, they were overjoyed until that joy turned into every parent's worst nightmare.
We found out that we were experiencing a super rare pregnancy complication called a partial molar pregnancy. And in turn, that pregnancy also gave me cancer.
Leaving the parents with less than 24 hours to make an impossible decision.
She didn't really have a choice because it was either both of them or one of them.
So we had to make the unfortunate decision to terminate our pregnancy.
Just weeks later, Cassie underwent a hysterectomy to beat cancer, ending any chance of carrying another child. Out of that loss, Weeping Willa was born.
Our goal was to launch a nonprofit where it didn't matter what type of loss you experienced. You are welcome here and we're here to support you.
The nonprofit quickly connected with hundreds of grieving families, including some in Duluth.
Our son Hendrik passed away almost 2 years ago now. He was born early and survived for 5 weeks, and then he passed away. And I had no idea about Weeping Willa, and we got something in the mail from them.
A financial grant and a simple, meaningful remembrance of a child gone too soon.
We had great support, but people move on and our grief stays with us, so it's nice to have a outlet to go to.
In a time when nothing felt right, Weeping Willa was a beacon of solidarity for the Hansons.
Being able to meet everyone where they are, in their grief journey and transforming grief to growth.
The Hansons say even with grief, joy is still possible. Just 4 weeks ago, they welcomed their daughter Madeline.
We're happy and we have a most gorgeous little girl that we could ever ask for. Her older siblings will tell her all about Hendrik when she gets older.
Weeping Willa has multiple upcoming fundraisers and events, including an annual 5K and raffle. We'll have more details on our website. Live in studio, Kyrie Johnson, Northern News Now.